The crystal vase slips from my fingers before I can stop it. Time slows as it tumbles toward Aunt Meredith's hardwood floor, catching sunlight through the bay window before shattering into 1,000 glittering pieces. The sound matches the breaking inside my chest. "Erin, I'm so sorry," Aunt Meredith whispers, her voice cracking. But I can't look at her. My eyes are fixed on the coffee table where wedding photos are spread out like evidence at a crime scene. My brother Jason, beaming in a charcoal tuxedo. My mother, wearing the pearl earrings I bought her last Christmas. My father, standing tall and proud. The perfect family portrait. Except I'm not in it. "I don't understand," I manage, though understanding is already dawning, cold and certain. "The wedding is tomorrow. I took time off work. I spent hundreds on everything." Aunt Meredith reaches for my hand, her fingers trembling almost as badly as mine. "They sent you the wrong date, Erin." Her eyes meet mine, filled with a terrible pity. "On purpose." The room tilts. I steady myself against the bookshelf, knocking a framed photo askew. That's not possible. But even as I say it, pieces fall into place. The way my mother changed the subject when I mentioned final preparations during our call last week. How Jason hadn't returned my texts about the rehearsal dinner. The strange pause when I told Dad I'd booked the hotel near the venue. 3 weeks ago, when the invitation arrived in its cream envelope with my name written in gold calligraphy, I'd felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Belonging. After a lifetime of being the afterthought, the obligation, I was finally being included in something important. I'd splurged on a designer dress $450 I couldn't really afford, made hair and nail appointments, wrapped the $800 crystal vase that now lay shattered at my feet. I'd believed this was my chance to finally be seen. "Sweetheart, maybe they thought you wouldn't want to come anyway," Aunt Meredith says, her voice gentle as she begins picking up glass shards. "You know how busy you are with work and—" My hands stop trembling. A strange calm washes over me as I carefully pick up one of the wedding photos. I study each smiling face, the empty space where I should have stood. Something hard and certain forms in my chest. "No," I say, my voice steadier than I expected. They knew exactly what they were doing. Aunt Meredith stops cleaning up the glass. She looks at me for a long moment, then nods slowly. "It's not the first time, is it?" "What do you mean?" She sighs, setting the dustpan aside. "Your birthdays, Erin. The family dinners you somehow never got invited to. The graduation party they claimed must have been lost in the mail." A bitter laugh escapes me. I always made excuses for them. Always told myself it was just a mistake. "And you've been supporting them financially?" Aunt Meredith says, not a question but a statement. "I know about the mortgage payments, Erin. The money for Jason's car, your mother's medical bills." My throat tightens. I've never told anyone about the anonymous deposits, the paid invoices, the gifts that were really lifelines. 15 years of stretching myself thin so they could live comfortably, all while hoping that someday they'd make room for me at the table. "What happens if I stop pretending?" I ask, surprising myself with the question. "What happens if I finally admit they don't want me?" Aunt Meredith takes my hand, her grip surprisingly strong. "Then maybe you'll find people who do." I look down at the shattered vase, at the wedding photos of a family that deliberately excluded me. The strange calm inside me deepens, becomes something like resolve. They sent me the wrong date on purpose. And now I have a decision to make. Later that day, while I am driving back home, the text messages glow accusingly on my phone screen as my rental car idles on the shoulder of the Vermont highway. Each word hits like a physical blow. "Jason. She won't make a scene if she shows up to an empty venue. Cleaner this way." "Mom. Agreed. She'll finally get the message that she's not wanted." My phone slips from my trembling fingers, landing in my lap. A semi roars past, rocking my small sedan. The vibration matches the tremor running through my body. This wasn't just a mistake. Not a misunderstanding or oversight. They orchestrated this, a calculated public humiliation designed to finally drive me away. I lower my window, gulping cool mountain air as nausea rises in my throat. After finding the wedding photos at Aunt Meredith's, I'd driven straight to Vermont, still half believing there must be some explanation. But these messages, accidentally sent to our old family group chat, eliminate any possibility of misunderstanding. They wanted me to show up tomorrow to an empty venue. Alone, dressed up, gift in hand. 10 minutes later, I pull into my parents' long gravel driveway. Their Vermont colonial sits nestled among maples just starting to turn amber. The house my money helped maintain when Dad lost his job 3 years ago. The mortgage I quietly paid for 8 months while they told everyone they'd tightened their belts. Through the bay window, I can see them gathered in the living room. Mom and Dad on the floral sofa. Jason standing beside a petite blonde woman in a pale blue dress. Claire, his new wife. They're passing around a leather-bound wedding album, laughing. A perfect family portrait. When I push open the front door without knocking, the laughter stops abruptly. Mom's smile freezes. Dad half rises from the sofa. Jason moves subtly in front of Claire, as if protecting her from some threat. Me. He's protecting her from me. Erin! Dad recovers first, his voice unnaturally bright. What a surprise. Weren't expecting you until tomorrow. Claire looks between them, confusion evident on her delicate features. Tomorrow? She turns to Jason. But didn't the wedding happen last weekend? Jason's hand tightens on her shoulder. The muscles in his jaw work silently. I hold up the cream envelope with my name in gold calligraphy. Funny thing about that. My voice sounds steadier than it has any right to be. My invitation shows a different date than everyone else's. Mom sets the wedding album aside. There must have been a mix-up with the printer. Really? I open my phone, fingers surprisingly steady now. Then why were you discussing this mix-up with Jason weeks ago? Dad's eyebrows shoot up as he looks at Mom. What is she talking about? I turn my phone screen toward them, the damning text conversation displayed for all to see. Claire's hand flies to her mouth. The color drains from Mom's face. You've always brought tension wherever you go, Jason finally says, breaking the silence. Nobody wanted that at my wedding. Jason. Claire's voice is sharp with surprise. It's true, Mom says, chin raised defensively. You're like a shadow, Erin. Always around, never really part of us. The words land like physical blows, but I remain standing. A shadow that pays your bills? I ask softly. Dad shifts uncomfortably. That's not fair. We've supported you. Have you? I pull out my phone again, opening my banking app. Last year alone, I transferred $15,400 to your accounts. Anonymous deposits because I thought you were too proud to accept help. I scroll through the transaction history. House repairs, medical bills, Jason's car payments when he was between jobs. Claire stares at Jason. You told me your parents helped with the car. They did, he snaps. No, I correct him. I did, but they took the credit. Mom stands, smoothing her sweater with trembling hands. You're twisting things, making it sound like we used you. Didn't you? The calm in my voice surprises even me. You were happy to take my money while excluding me from family dinners, forgetting my birthdays, sending me to the wrong wedding date. You always exaggerate, Dad says, but his eyes won't meet mine. Do I? I move to the mantel where framed family photos sit in a neat row. I'm in exactly none of them. Funny how I don't exist in the family visual history either. Jason steps forward, jaw tight. I am telling you, you bring tension wherever you go. Nobody wanted you there. At your wedding? Or in your life? I ask. Both, he says without hesitation. Claire gasps softly beside him, but he doesn't seem to notice. Mom nods. For a moment, I just look at them, these strangers who share my blood, the people who raised me but never saw me, who took what I offered while offering nothing in return. I came to see if there was anything worth salvaging here, I say finally. Now I have my answer. I walk out without another word, their silence following me down the gravel driveway to my car. Behind the wheel, I watch the house grow smaller in my rearview mirror, the house I helped pay for, filled with people who never wanted me. As I drive away, a question turns over in my mind. Should I completely cut ties immediately, or gradually withdraw my support to minimize the shock to their lives? A clean break might protect my heart, but a measured withdrawal might better prepare them for the reality they'd created. What would you do when you realize the people who should love you have been using you all along? 2 days later, the phone rang for the 3rd time today. I recognized the number immediately and let it go to voicemail, my stomach clenching as Jason's voice fills my kitchen. Erin, this needs to stop. My colleagues are asking why my sister is spreading lies about being excluded from my wedding. You're embarrassing the entire family with these delusions. My coffee grows cold as his message continues. The words sound rehearsed, calculated. Look, we're worried about you. Mom thinks you might need professional help. This isn't healthy behavior. I delete the message, hands trembling slightly. Within minutes, my work phone lights up. Jason again, leaving similar messages with my assistant. By lunch, 3 concerned coworkers have stopped by my desk with worried glances. "Everything okay at home, Erin?" asks Darren, our creative director. "Someone called saying they're concerned about you." I force a smile. Family drama. Nothing serious. But it escalates. That evening, a sharp knock at my apartment door reveals my parents standing in the hallway, uninvited and unwelcome. "We need to talk about your behavior," Dad says, attempting to step inside without waiting for an invitation. I block the doorway. "My behavior? You're creating unnecessary drama," Mom says, her voice honey, sweet for the benefit of any neighbors who might overhear. "We've always included you. You just choose not to participate." The lie is so bold, so contrary to reality, that for a moment I'm speechless. They're rewriting history in real time, erasing years of deliberate exclusion. That's not true. I finally manage. "Of course it is," Dad counters. "Remember Christmas last year? We called twice." What he doesn't mention, the celebration happened 3 days before they called. The family photos already posted online. I close the door without another word. Over the next week, I discover something that makes my blood run cold. While having lunch with a former colleague, she mentions meeting my parents at a community fundraiser. "Your mom talks about you constantly," she says, "so proud of how they helped you get your start in marketing. She told everyone how they invested in your education." The fork slips from my fingers. I paid for my own degree while sending them money for house repairs. They've been using my success in their social circles while taking credit for it. The revelation follows me home, a shadow across my thoughts. Sleep becomes a luxury as I find myself jolting awake at 3 a.m., wondering if anything in my family relationships was ever genuine. My phone's ringtone triggers an immediate spike of anxiety. At work, I check twice before turning each corner, fearing another surprise visit. When the roof at my parents' house needs repairs, Jason doesn't wait long to make his move. "This is your responsibility too. You know Mom and Dad can't afford it on their retirement income." I stare at his text message, remembering how they just took a cruise to Alaska, how Jason drives a car I helped finance, how I've been the family's financial safety net for 15 years, while being treated as an afterthought. Instead of responding, I open a new spreadsheet. Column by column, I document every loan, every gift, every deposit I've made to help them, dates, amounts, what the money was for. Then I create a second document. Every birthday they forgot, every invitation that arrived after the event, every family gathering I discovered through social media posts. The pattern is undeniable. Cold, hard numbers don't lie. When I show the spreadsheet to Rachel Grant, my real estate attorney, she leans back in her chair and studies me with clear eyes. "You're not crazy," she says simply. "And you're not alone. I've seen this pattern before." For the first time in weeks, something inside me unclenches. Validation. Someone else sees the truth. 2 days later, my parents arrive unannounced again. This time, they have a folder of roof repair estimates. $15,000, Dad says, handing me the top sheet. "We'll need it by Friday." I rejected. "After everything we've done for you," Mom adds, "this is how you repay us?" Something shifts inside me. A lifetime of accommodating, of hoping for scraps of affection, crystallizes into something harder. "What exactly have you done for me besides take?" I ask, my voice steadier than I expected. "Name one birthday you remembered." Mom blinks, caught off guard. "Of course we remembered your birthdays." "Which ones? What did we do for my 30th? What gift did you give me for my 25th? She fumbles, looking to Dad for help. I stand firmly by my door, not inviting them in, not backing down. "I kept hoping you'd see me, really see me." My voice doesn't waver. "But I was never your daughter. I was your ATM." Dad's face reddens. "That's ridiculous. After all, we've sacrificed." I retrieve my own folder from the side table, opening it to reveal 15 years of documented financial support. Bank statements, transfers, receipts. $78,400. I say, "That's what I've given you since I started working. Not loans, gifts, money I'll never see again." Their eyes widen as they scan the pages. Shock replaces indignation. You should leave now, I tell them. Over the next few weeks, Rachel helps me document everything properly, creating a legal framework for what comes next. Aunt Meredith calls daily. You're doing the right thing, she assures me. Stand your ground. The contrast is stark. My supporters listen, validate, help me strategize. My family demands, dismisses, attempts to gaslight me into submission. With each boundary I establish, my voice grows stronger. When a junior colleague attempts to take credit for my work during a presentation, I calmly reclaim it. When a neighbor plays music too loudly at 2 a.m., I knock on their door instead of suffering in silence. I need to discuss something important, I tell Marcus Lynn, a second attorney I've hired. We sit in his office, reviewing property documents for the vacation cottage in Vermont, the place my family has used every summer since I secretly purchased it 4 years ago. The deed is solely in your name, he confirms. There's no joint ownership, no family trust. Legally, they have no claim to it whatsoever. I nod, considering my options as my phone buzzes with a new message. Jason again. Mom and Dad are planning their summer at the cottage. They need you to send money for the property taxes again. I set the phone down, a calm resolve settling over me. For the first time in my life, I know exactly what I need to do. Next week, Tuesday, the restraining order paperwork feels substantial in my hands, like armor I should have donned years ago. I sign my name with steady strokes, watching the ink dry on the form that will legally keep Jason at least 500 feet from me. His text messages alone provide more than enough evidence. Attorney Rachel says, sliding the papers into a manila folder. Her bifocals catch the afternoon light as she glances at her computer screen. The language he's using crosses well beyond family disagreement into harassment and threats. I hand her my phone, unlocked to the conversation thread where Jason's latest message glows. Pay for the roof or I'll make sure everyone at your company knows what kind of daughter abandons her family. Document everything, she says, repeating the mantra that's guided me these past 2 weeks. Every text, every call, every dollar. After leaving Rachel's office, I drive straight to Boston Financial Partners, where Teresa, my newly appointed financial advisor, waits with another stack of paperwork. By sunset, my parents are removed as beneficiaries from my life insurance policy and retirement accounts. The joint checking account we've maintained since I was in college, the one Jason periodically drains for emergencies, is closed. At home that evening, my phone lights up with a voicemail notification. Jason's voice trembles with unmistakable panic. What the hell did you do? The bank says I'm not authorized on your account anymore. Call me back immediately. I don't call back. Instead, I forward the message to Rachel and continue organizing the folder containing 15 years of financial receipts, mortgage payments, car loans, medical bills, all documented in spreadsheets color-coded by family member and type of expense. The next morning, my office phone rings just after 9. My assistant Martin appears in my doorway moments later, his expression troubled. There's a woman on line 2 claiming to be your mother. She says it's an emergency regarding your mental health. A familiar cold sensation spreads through my chest, but something different follows it, a wave of heat that feels surprisingly like power. Put her through, I say, sitting straighter in my chair. Erin, my mother's voice quavers with practiced fragility. We're worried sick about you. These restraining orders, cutting off the accounts. This isn't like you. I've spoken with Dr. Peterson about getting you an evaluation. I'm afraid I can't discuss this with you, I interrupt, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. My legal counsel has advised that all communication go through proper channels. I've already spoken with your boss, she continues as if I hadn't spoken. Everyone's concerned about... Actually, Mrs. Mitchell, Martin says from the speakerphone I hadn't realized he'd activated. I've witnessed the harassing calls from her brother myself. Miss Mitchell has shown me documentation of the situation. The company stands behind her completely. When the line goes dead, Martin gives me a respectful nod before closing my office door. Later that afternoon, Aunt Meredith calls. Your mother phoned me in tears, she says without preamble. Apparently I'm supposed to talk some sense into you. And will you? I ask, tension creeping into my shoulders. Honey, the only people who need sense talked into them are the ones who've been using you as an ATM for 15 years. Her voice softens. You're doing exactly what you should be doing. It's about time someone in this family had a backbone. That night I lie awake staring at my ceiling, turning over a question that's been haunting me. When my attorney asked if I wanted to proceed with the eviction notice for the cottage, I hesitated. Was enforcing my legal rights the path to healing, or would it simply continue the cycle of hurt in a different form? What would truly set me free? Morning brings clarity and a call to Marcus Lynn, the real estate attorney Rachel recommended. The vacation property is solely in your name. Marcus confirms after reviewing the deed. Your family has no legal claim to it whatsoever, despite having used it for the past 4 years. I can prepare the eviction notice today. Do it. I say, remembering the family photos displayed throughout the cottage photos where I was notably absent. And can we establish a formal communication protocol? All contact through attorneys from now on? By week's end, a comprehensive legal structure stands between me and my family's manipulation. Rachel has established official channels for any communication. Marcus has filed the eviction paperwork. Teresa has secured my financial accounts against any unauthorized access attempts. For the first time in my adult life, I have boundaries that can't be ignored or dismissed as oversensitivity. The text comes on Sunday evening from a number I don't recognize. Erin, this is Claire, Jason's wife. Can we meet? There's something you should know. I hesitate, then respond. Any communication needs to go through my attorney. Please. I had no idea about the wedding date deception. I thought you couldn't make it. We arranged to meet at a coffee shop equidistant between our neighborhoods. Claire looks smaller than she did in the wedding photos, her shoulders hunched as she stirs her latte without drinking it. He's changing, she says without greeting me. The way he talks to me now, it's how he used to talk about you. Her wedding ring catches the light as she twists it nervously. I'm starting to see what you went through. I say nothing, waiting. He lost his job last week, she continues. The bank called about a loan I didn't know existed. When I asked questions, she trails off, blinking rapidly. Let's just say I understand why you needed that restraining order. As she speaks, I recognize the look in her eyes, the same desperate search for approval I'd seen in my own mirror for decades. But beneath my sympathy lies a hard-won certainty. I am no longer responsible for cleaning up the messes my family creates. A month later, the lobby of Boston Financial Partners gleams with polished marble and soft lighting as I step off the elevator. My new vice president nameplate still feels surreal after last week's promotion. I spot them immediately, my parents huddled by the reception desk, out of place in this world of tailored suits and quiet confidence. Dad's normally immaculate appearance has deteriorated to wrinkled khakis and 3 days of stubble. Mom clutches her purse like a shield, her eyes rimmed red. They haven't noticed me yet. I take a breath, straighten my jacket and approach. Mom, Dad, this is unexpected. They turn in unison. Mom reaches for my arm but stops herself when I step back. Erin, please, she whispers, voice cracking. We need to talk, somewhere private. Dad clears his throat. We're staying at the Pinewood Motel on Route 9. We're out of savings. I glance at the security camera in the corner, its red light blinking steadily. Good. The restaurant across the street has private booths, I say, leading them outside. In the dimly lit corner of Harrington's, Dad leans forward. The booth's worn leather creaks beneath him. You've always been the good one, Erin. The responsible one, he says, his voice thick with what I once would have mistaken for sincerity. We raised you right, and now we need your help. Mom nods, a tear trailing down her cheek. After all we've done, raising you, providing for you. I let the silence stretch between us. A waiter approaches, but I wave him away. I was promoted last week, I say finally. Vice President of Strategy. Mom forces a smile. That's wonderful, honey. We always knew. I had the lobby security save the footage of your arrival today. I continue, placing my phone on the table, the email from security visible on the screen. My restraining order doesn't cover the lobby, but it's good to document every interaction. Dad's face hardens. You don't need legal protection from your own parents. Don't I? I meet his gaze without flinching. I'm not your ATM. I'm not your fallback plan. My voice remains steady, surprising even me. I'm not your family. Mom gasps. Erin! Every communication goes through my attorney now, I say, sliding Rachel's business card across the table. The court has been very interested in the pattern of financial exploitation. Dad's hand trembles as he reaches for his water glass. You wouldn't leave us with nothing. I maintain eye contact, neither wavering nor apologizing. You've had 15 years of my support, 15 years of anonymous deposits and paid bills. I've given you everything except what you never wanted me. The realization dawns in their eyes. Their financial safety net is gone, permanently. You'll regret this, Dad says, but his voice lacks conviction. I stand, leaving Rachel's card on the table. I already regret the years I spent trying to buy your love. 2 weeks later, I sit across from Marcus Lynn at his office overlooking Boston Harbor. The polished conference table reflects the afternoon sunlight as my parents enter, escorted by their newly hired attorney, clearly the cheapest they could find. His suit hangs awkwardly on his thin frame. Mom avoids my eyes. Dad stares at me with cold fury. Marcus slides the cottage eviction documents forward. We're here to finalize the property transition. I place the keys and property deed on the table with deliberate care. You treated me like I didn't belong, I tell them. Now this house no longer belongs to you. Dad's face flushes red. Where are we supposed to go? That cottage has been in our family for generations. It was never in the family, I reply calmly. I purchased it 4 years ago with my own money. Their attorney leans forward, whispering urgently in Dad's ear. The deed is solely in Miss Mitchell's name, Marcus confirms. She has generously allowed use of the property until now, but that arrangement is terminated. Mom looks up, finally meeting my eyes. We never thought you'd actually leave us. Her voice breaks. We thought you understood your place. You left me long before I left you, I answer, pushing the ownership acknowledgement form toward them. Sign. Dad's hand shakes as he scrawls his signature. Mom's tears fall onto the paper, smudging her name. I feel nothing. Watching them, no triumph, no regret, just a strange, peaceful emptiness. As I walk to my car afterward, Marcus hands me an envelope. Thought you should know your brother's wife filed for divorce yesterday. Cited emotional immaturity and cruelty. I nod, unsurprised. Claire finally saw the pattern. Also, he continues, someone mentioned seeing your father applying at Henderson's Hardware. Your mother, too, at Sunny Pines Senior Living. I slip the envelope into my bag without opening it. They'll survive. They're resourceful when necessary. That evening, a letter arrives, my father's handwriting on the envelope, meticulous as always. Inside, paragraphs of reflection, regret, perhaps even remorse. I set it aside, unwilling to be pulled back into their gravity just yet. A week later, my phone pings with an email notification from Marcus. My parents have vacated the cottage on the final day of the 30-day notice. Not a minute sooner, not a minute later. I stand at my apartment window, watching Boston light up as evening falls. For the first time in years, I feel the full weight of my freedom, terrifying, exhilarating, and completely my own. A year later, I finally proved my worth. The morning sun streams through my office window as Melissa, our newest marketing associate, slides her proposal across my desk. Her hands tremble slightly, the same nervous energy I once carried into every presentation. What happens if they hate it? She whispers, eyes fixed on the folder between us. I recognize the fear, the need for validation, the certainty that rejection lurks around every corner. Then we adjust and try again. I tell her, my voice steady. But first, we celebrate your courage for putting yourself out there. Her shoulders relax as understanding blooms across her face. This is the 4th young woman I've mentored this year, creating the support system I spent decades searching for in all the wrong places. Later, as we share lunch in the break room, Melissa asks about my weekend plans. Friendsgiving at my place. I answer, surprising myself with my own excitement. First time hosting. A year ago, holidays meant making myself small enough to fit into spaces where I was barely tolerated. Now my apartment will overflow with laughter from people who choose to be their colleagues who became friends, neighbors who became confidants. No more scanning faces for signs of disapproval. No more apologizing for existing. Saturday morning, I drive to Aunt Meredith's with pumpkin bread still warm from the oven. Her eyes light up when I arrive unannounced, not to seek refuge, but simply to share company. You look different, she says, studying my face as we settle on her porch with steaming mugs of coffee. Different how? Like you finally believe you deserve to take up space. We sit in comfortable silence, watching golden leaves drift across her yard. The emptiness that once gnawed at my insides has been gradually filling with genuine connections, relationships built on mutual respect rather than obligation. Monday brings an unexpected envelope to my desk. Inside, a wedding invitation from Jamie in accounting. The cream-colored card feels substantial in my hands, my name written in flowing calligraphy. 1 year ago, such an invitation triggered a desperate need to prove I belonged. I would have immediately texted my +1 options, worried that arriving alone would brand me as unwanted. Now I simply RSVP for one, without explanation or apology. The liberation in this small act washes over me like warm water. "You're coming to my wedding?" Jamie asks later, genuine pleasure in her voice. "Wouldn't miss it," I reply, meaning it. The prospect of celebrating someone else's joy no longer feels like a reminder of what I lack. That evening, Aunt Meredith arrives at my new townhouse with Rachel and Marcus, the attorneys who helped me reclaim my life, and 3 colleagues who stood by me when my family tried to paint me as unstable. The dining table I chose because it felt too large for one person now seems perfectly sized. "To Bridges?" I say, raising my glass once everyone is settled with plates of homemade lasagna. "To building bridges that lead somewhere worth going." Aunt Meredith presents me with a package wrapped in simple brown paper. Inside, a photo album bound in soft leather. The first page shows just the 2 of us at the lake last summer, her arm around my shoulders as we laugh at something now forgotten. Above the photo, she's written in her elegant script, "Real family." Later, after everyone has gone, I open my father's latest letter. His handwriting has changed less, commanding, more thoughtful. He mentions his therapy sessions, words like accountability and amends appearing where accusations once lived. He seems different. I tell Aunt Meredith over the phone, "Do you believe him?" She asks, careful not to influence my answer. "I believe he's changing," I say slowly. "But reconciliation, if it happens, will be on my terms." After we hang up, I place the letter in a wooden box on my bookshelf. The label reads, "Future Possibilities," rather than "Family Wounds," a small distinction that represents miles of internal journey. As I file away my father's letter, I wonder if forgiveness requires reconciliation, or if sometimes the healthiest form of forgiveness happens from a distance. Is it possible to wish someone well without inviting them back into your life? Or does true healing eventually mean rebuilding what was broken? Whatever the answer, for the first time in my life, I trust myself to find it.